So this is a AK-47 variant that is you can acquire under the GCA, and what they have done is they have attached a bump stock to that.
How can you tell that? Sorry, where's the bump stock? Is there like a physical piece?
But that's a great question, right? Of course, right? How can you tell,
Yeah.
right? These two things are the same.
They look, right.
They operate the same. Both of them can shoot right through this 75-round clip. Right through this 75-round clip.
Right through this 75-round clip.
On 60 Minutes this weekend, Joe Biden's ATF director had a lesson to teach everybody about the danger of guns and so-called ghost guns that can be transported around the country. But what is going on at 60 Minutes where they have to do a whole segment on ghost guns and the ubiquity of gun violence? Yeah, there's gun violence in America. Interview some of the DAs that put criminals back on the streets, despite the fact that they've been arrested for gun-related crimes. You know, we get tough on guns and we pass all of these laws that have extra penalties if you commit a crime with a gun, and then somebody's arrested for committing a crime with a gun, and then you get somebody who was funded by Soros who doesn't want to put anybody in jail, who puts them back on the street. So what's the point of passing all these gun laws? Well, the point is that law-abiding citizens will follow them and not criminals. Because last I checked, the criminal who is willing to rob a store or shoot a person is also going to be willing to break the law against gun ownership. One suspects. Well, anyway, they want to go this big demonstration here, and you got to understand this demonstration. It's focused on. Excuse me. Let me start that again. This demonstration, I'm sure, was set up and staged by all the communications people at the ATF, right? All the people who work with, we're going to have 60 Minutes here. We're going to bring in the cameras, and this doesn't happen by accident. We got the lighting here. We're going to have all the guns laid out on the table, and we're going to orchestrate this thing. In fact, they probably rehearsed it several times, right? So now watch what happened when they demonstrated exactly the real danger of how easy it is to take one of these unserial numbered marked ghost guns and convert it immediately into a weapon of war.
Can't get this one apart.
Now, we're going to watch more of this, but every gun owner in America right now is either laughing uproariously at this or they're cringing and their shoulders are going up on their neck because this is so painful to watch. And I am told by gun enthusiasts that the Glock, the gun that he's actually trying to dismantle here to show you exactly what's going on with the so-called ghost guns, it's actually one of the easiest guns to break down. That's what I'm told. I'm told by some teenagers I know who are in the military right now who learned this the first week on the job. But here we go. By the way, this guy that you're seeing, the ATF director, is the sort of Nimrod politician with the dark hair there who's just observing. The person that you're seeing right now, this is, I kid you not, the the chief of Firearms Ammunition Technology Division. So he's like the top dog there on firearms technology. And, well, let's watch what happens.
He's going to make a new gun for you.
So basically what they do is they make this part here.
This is like plastic.
So this is the plastic piece. With about 20 minutes of work, they could make it into a working firearm, and then they could buy the aftermarket parts and simply attach that on.
And to buy those parts.
He never actually got it on. He's supposed to show, here, look how easy it is. You take this Glock, you slide off this, you get this frame that they just bought and slide it back on, and boom, you've got a gun that's untraceable. You could never do it. I'm telling you, didn't they practice this? Look at how everything is laid out like it's a scene from a movie, right? And it's, by the way, this is meant to scare suburban moms. Look at all of those guns. I don't want those in my child's school. I'm actually fine with those guns in my child's school as long as it's the good guys who have them, who are protecting my children. But I guess I'm a different breed. And then there's really important questions here, really insightful questions by, again, you're a journalist and you're about to do a segment on anything. Aren't you going to learn a little bit so you can make an informed question? I mean, I interview people all the time. I do segments on my radio show. I do segments here on this show, on Larry. And if we're hitting a topic that I'm not completely well versed on, I read about it. I educate myself. She knows nothing about guns. Watch.
Is there any serial number and tracing of?
Now, you don't have to,
pieces?
you don't, if you're selling firearms parts alone,
Mhm.
right? Then it's not a frame or receiver,
Parts are not regulated.
and
by
they're not
ATF.
regulated. Under the law, we're not allowed to do that.
You
Right.
would like to do that?
That's up to Congress to determine. But I mean, what we did is we tried to work with the law that Congress gave us and take the receiver.
I'm sorry. This is just too. I don't mean to keep interrupting the video. I know we want to watch it in its entirety, but well, Nimrod over here is fumbling around, and he's like looking at his guy to make sure that he's getting it right about what the laws are that he's bound to enforce as the director of the ATF, and he's not well versed on it himself. But then while he's talking to our 60 Minutes reporter, watch the bald dude over here, who again is the specialist. He's the expert. Watch him work his gun while they're talking over here on the other side of the
And they're
screen.
not regulated. Under the law, we're not allowed to do that.
You
Right.
would like to do that?
That's up to Congress to determine. But I mean, what we did is we tried to work with the law that Congress gave us and take the receiver.
He still can't get it to work. And then eventually he's like, get us out of here. He gives it to whatever aide is hanging off stage. All right. And now we're going to get into more things that we want to do, again, to keep law-abiding citizens from getting their guns or hanging on to their guns. More legislation that won't be enforced, that won't be followed by criminals because, it's kind of definitional for a criminal that you don't care about the law. And so we'll get into more details now about all the things that need to be done. Do you know why this is happening? Again, because it's an election year. They've had 3 years to do their 60-minute segment about the plague of guns in America. But they did a survey. They probably did a focus group. And it turns out people are concerned about violent crime on the streets. Oh, all right, let's roll out a segment on guns. Let's get 60 minutes in here and we'll look like idiots. We'll look ignorant because we don't know anything about guns. And we're in charge of gun policy in this country.
Frame. This is a frame. A frame is on a pistol, receiver's on a long gun. We take the frame and say, hey, Congress said we can regulate the frame,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so people that are readily, convertible to being firearms like this, like you said, 20 minutes. This is like the thing that even I could do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So made sure that this has to have a serial number on it from now on, right? So that's what we're trying to do.
And some of the arguments.
Yes, we got to make sure that has a serial number because that will solve the crime on the south side of Chicago. That will stop the carjackings in Washington, D.C. That will protect innocent young college students from being beaten up as they're jogging on the campus of the University of Georgia by someone who shouldn't be in this country in the first place. But one more here that I want to show you just to sort of make you cringe even more if you have any working, functioning knowledge of firearms here.
So this is a AK-47 variant that is you can acquire under the GCA, and what they have done is they have attached a bump stock to that.
How can you tell that? Sorry, where's the bump stock? Is there like a physical piece?
But that's a great question, right? Of course, right? How can you tell,
Yeah.
right? These two things are the same.
They look right.
They
There's-
operate the same. Both of them can shoot right through this 75-round clip.
It's a magazine. It's not a clip. I mean, this is one of the ones that has been around forever because they've watched some movies that use the term clip. It's a 75-round clip. Okay, dude. Again, let me reiterate. This is the man who the Senate approved to be in charge of enforcing gun laws in America as the director of the ATF. 75-round clip. But they want to make sure that you can't use a bump stock. And even more importantly, they want to make sure that a disabled veteran who maybe has lost full functioning of their arms because of combat injuries serving this country, that when he comes back, that he can't pursue his love, his hobby of shooting when he goes to the range, because bump stocks help that man be able to fire his gun of choice at a range, a right that he literally was willing to die for when wearing the uniform. They want to keep that man from being able to do that, or even more so, they want to be able to keep a disabled young woman who lives alone in the inner city, or an elderly man who's trying to protect his wife in their old age from a home invader, from utilizing a bump stock, which has a very useful purpose in allowing people who can't always properly handle their firearm because of a physical disability. They want to keep those individuals from being able to protect themselves. Maybe the Americans with Disabilities Act needs to be triggered on this one.